Everyone, it's Alicia from Ambi, and I would like to welcome you to my interview with Pete Wentz and Patrick Stump from Fall Out Boy. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you both doing?
Good.
I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to join me. I'm very excited that this is happening.
Yeah.
Well, I want to kick things off by diving into Mania, the record that will soon be coming out. The anticipation right now just must be absolutely killing you two, because I know how much time, effort, creativity goes into creating a record.
It's pretty weird because we, had a release date, and there was this crazy stress to like make it in time for the release date, and then we didn't. So then it was this, crazy stress to make something that was worthy, and it was weird because it really, literally a week or two after we pushed it back, it really started to take shape and become, I think, really great. I'm really excited about it, but now we're on tour, and so we're kind of focusing on that, and I'm kind of forgetting that, oh yeah, we have this record that's coming out,
Well, there's a song taken from the record. You've actually shared a couple tastes of what's to come, and it's the last of the real ones, and there's a super cinematic video you shared for the track, which features some fuzzy monsters, some llama monsters, and going into this interview, you have no idea how many people wanted to know the names of those monsters.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Names have not been revealed yet. They come out, well, spoiler, I guess. They come out during the show, the concert, and they have like 4 or 5 shirts every night, and the shirts have Monster number 1 and Monster number 2 as their names on them. So maybe they have names. I'm not sure yet.
Maybe
those are the names.
It's like a thing 1, thing 2 thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Another song that you've shared is Young and Menace, and for this track I really relate to it because growing up I was a bit of an outsider until I really got into music, and I know that's kind of where that sprung from, being a bit of an outsider then discovering the punk rock community. So kind of take us back, and what are your first memories of discovering this whole new world?
Punk rock and music. I just remember thinking how weird it was because my dad was a musician, and so music was always around, but I assumed that music was a thing that you couldn't do. It's not like you could just pick up and do it. And it blew my mind that these kids would, they're kids, but they were older than me, would rent out like a community center and just play music, or like just set up in a basement and invite a bunch of people over, and that would be a show. And it was amazing to have that capacity. I remember, and it was instant then, where you're like, oh, well, I'm 14. I'm just going to play drums in a band now. It wasn't a thing that was this unattainable thing anymore. I didn't even have a drum kit. I just knew somebody that had them, and and he's like, well, I'll play guitar. You play drums. It was that amazing ability to just find a thing and start. You didn't have to. It didn't matter what you didn't even have to be good.
It was not far off of. Yeah, it was. I think you just found other like-minded people that probably just didn't fit in also,
Mm-hmm.
So, that was pretty cool, like the community aspect of it.
Did it surprise you finding all these people who can't fit in, you ended up fitting in? Like, I found that super weird growing up. It kind of boggled my mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it's weird because I was thinking about, someone was asking about my high school reunion, and I'm like, I don't know that I would remember anyone, not in a mean way, but because I was... like all of my friends were in bands or kids that went to shows with me or whatever in high school. So that would be a fun reunion if you could get those people together. But I don't really, my high school reunion, I kind of wasn't paying a lot of attention in high school. So,
what kind of student were you?
Horrible.
Were you?
In retrospect, I think it worked out for me, but I really was only focused on being in a band and playing music and learning about music and that kind of thing. So if it wasn't that, I had no time for it. And I guess that I'm in a band, and so it worked. But it was a big gamble.
Yeah. And how about yourself? Because I know a lot of people, when I talk to them, they're like, oh yeah, I was definitely the class clown, or I was the nerd in the class always raising their hand. So what were you?
I think I was odd because I played sports, but I was into punk rock, Okay. So, yeah, and kind of pretty harmless. I was just I don't know. I don't think I had a ton of friends, but it wasn't like I didn't have a ton of friends. I was just kind of not there.
Flow.
You know what I mean? I was just kind of there, but not really. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now you're taking these new tracks out on the Mania tour here in Toronto tonight, and you actually have a lot of really cool merch on this tour, and people can also grab stuff online from skateboard decks to fidget spinners. And I've never seen a band so excited to have fidget spinners for sale. It's kind of like a little odd dream come true for you guys. So many tweets.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when I'm on Twitter, I'm like, or like social media, I'm like, there's like this like a little bit of a magic aspect to this where you're like, if I just put this out here, like 9 times out of 10, nothing will happen. But like that one time, like someone might just like make it or something, like, I don't know. And here it is.
Just happened to be fidget spinners.
Yeah, it got made. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you've obviously gone to your fair share of shows as well. So when it comes to merch, what's something that you've taken away from a gig or something music-related you've bought that you probably won't be able to get rid of? What stands out to you?
Merch-wise?
Or do you have any like band T-shirts that you won't be able to get rid of?
I really liked collecting vinyl, and especially bands that put out a lot of 7 inches and that kind of stuff, and colored vinyl and whatever. So and weirdly, a lot, it kind of died down for me. But At the Drive-In came back together, and they're out touring again. They're putting out more records, and I am a completist of their vinyl, so I have to have everything of theirs. And so thanks for coming back together, so I can buy more vinyl.
That's awesome. I got to interview Omar recently,
nice.
and it just blew my mind. Like, genius, that band. Yeah. Anything coming to mind?
When I went to shows, I was usually planning on, walking to people's heads and stage diving, and I had to go really lightweight. There was never a point when I could like roll with merch.
Yeah,
anywhere.
no room for T-shirts in the pockets or anything.
No. We're going for aerodynamics there.
You're the kind of person who's like, hold my wallet, I'm going in. Yeah. Well, going into this interview, I was going through
also
some of
for the record, by the way.
Please.
At that time in my life, I didn't have any money because I refused to get a job, and my parents were like, well, we're not going to help you out. So the way I paid for everything was I had an Amoco card for the gas station, and I would go to the gas station, and I'd put $20 of gas in someone's car, and they'd be like, now you just pay me $10. So money was not easy for me to come by, and
Really?
if there were no bands that were taking Amoco cards, I was just fucked.
I think that's the first time I've heard of stretching money in that way, for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
It was an admirable resistance to getting a job.
did you know that, Patrick?
Sort of. I mean,
fits,
I
right?
remember it was there was this weird period of the band where neither Pete nor I were employed for various reasons, and basically it was this. I
won't say whether a cold hot dog got dipped in ranch sauce or not.
What he's referring to is that. So
It might have been a veggie dog, I think.
it was a veggie dog because we were vegan at the time. But I was basically living off of whatever anyone would leave in our fridge.
Okay.
So like we'd have like a house party and someone would bring something over, and like they bring over like mostly chips and dip. I ate like chips and salsa for like 3 months. Like that was
Wow.
I was dead broke because I mean we were trying to tour and trying to be available for tour, and I couldn't get a job that I could tell like, hey, I'm going to be gone for a few weeks, and so I was just like crazy broke and whatever trying to make it work. But anyway, Pete and I were at the same time totally broke, and there was this thing where I think Joe ended up having to pay for everything like for a little while, where he had to like buy us every lunch, but like. I really liked when we would get Chinese food, when someone would get Chinese food, because then I could eat the rest of their rice with soy sauce. That would keep me alive for another day.
Well, going into this interview, I came across a tweet from each of you guys that I really liked and wanted to ask and find a little bit more about. So the first one is from P, and you said, I think about my Uber passenger rating all of the time. Now, you two are clearly traveling with each other all the time and know one another very well, so how would you rate each other if you were to kind of do an Uber rating?
Patrick would get a high rating. He's like very polite and talks to you and like opens the door for you. He's a little bit messy, but I don't think he would be messy in an Uber if I was driving it, would be my guess. He also seems like the kind of guy that would like ride in the front seat and like just have a conversation with you, which would probably feel better.
Pete would be a good. Would definitely get a good rating. He's a little bit quiet in the car, though. He doesn't really want. He's not the guy that would have the conversation with the driver.
Okay.
So if that's a thing, maybe you'd knock off a point for half a point for that or something. But other than that, he's always prompt there, and he just minds his own business, and he tips well. So there you go.
And I'm fine with the Uber driver to play whatever his choice of music is.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm into that. Yeah, I'm into that.
Do you ever hear stuff and you ask them like, hey, what is that, if you're not aware of what they're listening to, or is it just to learn new things, or is there a reason?
I try to have as little human interactions as possible during the
So
day.
the opposite of that.
Yeah, I mean, music's my sport, so that's the kind of thing I can totally have small talk about with people. So
Sometimes we'll be on a plane and I look over and Patrick's just like talking to the person next to him, and I'm like, as a person, like, I know, like, I'm the guy who talks on stage and, like, I can, whatever, but I'm just not that guy. Like, I'm just I want to jump out of the window.
Really?
That's way more comfortable
I
to
can't
me
do it
than
at
talking.
all.
Talking to a whole bunch of people. I'm not like scared of talking to a bunch of people. I got nothing to say. I got nothing to say to 10,000 people. I got a lot to say to one person. I can have a conversation.
I
with
look
one
over
person.
and I'm like, how traumatic that would be for me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the kind of person that would, like, just look at the wall instead of just talking to him.
You didn't notice I was reading the vomit bag?
Totally.
The one that I have here from
And here's another thing. When you tell these stories, let them have a point.
The shower rings.
the one that I have from Patrick here.
That is kind of me and you. I thought that when I watched that. Yeah, okay.
One I have from Patrick is, we're really lucky to have fans, let alone such dedicated ones. Thank you all so much. So just to wrap things up, I wanted to ask if there's anything
And that was
you would-
tweeted in 1987.
Yeah, I haven't
I think
tweeted
it
in
was
a
a while
long
ago.
time. Long
It was
time.
definitely months ago. Definitely had to go through the archives for that one. But is there anything you would like to say to all those viewings? You have such an amazing fan base that's been with you for so long.
It blows my mind that people find something to connect with about it, and because it's surreal to you. It makes sense when you're a fan of something. I think about the bands that inspired me or that I looked up to, and I'm like, oh yeah, of course. Well, I mean, they're like superheroes or whatever. But for me, thinking about somebody because we're just these idiots, whatever. We're just a bunch of smelling.
I always
morons.
feel like when people say that shit stuff, like, I always feel like I'm like, we're basically in a garbage dumpster right now, like looking out at you. Like it's like I don't know.
Totally. So I don't know, but I'm so happy that there's something that people can relate to. I mean, it's. I think that's really vital to getting through stuff. I mean, I think about the times I've been really, frustrated or really upset or really depressed, and having some kind of art, some kind of music, some kind of something to wrap yourself up in and get involved in and get inspired by. That's the coolest thing, is now finding bands that, like looked up to us or whatever. That's exciting because there's going to be someone that looks up to them, and there's going to be someone that looks up to them, and then you're all just part of this chain, and that's neat. That's exciting. It keeps art going,
Pretty good at talking to the thousands. Not bad.
Hey, I did it, guys.
You did it. I want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
My pleasure. And remember, to everyone viewing, you can visit us at musicblogger.com for all exclusive interviews, features, videos, and so much more. See ya.